Alright, hello, hello. We are going to give this deck a shot in OP09. We'll just pick a random matchup. Hopefully we find something fun to play against. So what I've done for OP09 here for this Yellow Linlin deck is I've made sure that it's packed full of triggers, but I also included some searchability in the new OP09 Dereshi card, and also a one cost pudding. So I want the Dereshi to be my searcher for my utility and my 2Ks. I want my one cost to be my searcher for 10 moms, purely. But it also searches a couple of other things just in case. Uh, I think it searches the 6 cost Linlin. We have a couple of those in the deck. I think we took out the Soul Pocus, the Thunderbolts, the 5 cost Luffy's in order to put in the other cards. But yeah, I haven't played it yet. I want to give it a shot. So let's give it a shot. We can host a public game and go from there. Yeah, I think this deck is going to be rock solid, and then we can test out the ratios a little bit once we play a game or two. This is the tough thing about this deck. Nobody plays it, right? So it's hard to bounce ideas off of other people. Sometimes you just gotta get the results in yourself, get the data points. Uh, I think with the new Dereshi card though, it's going to be great for searching triggers. It searches 2 trigger cards in the top 5, but it also gives a lot of information. I think it shows the opponent what you find. So I don't know how I feel about that. Um, it gives information away because people don't play against Linlin, so they don't know what to expect. But on the other hand, it's 2 cards for free. Well, not for free. It's for 3 cost, right? Uh, but anywho, I'm just kind of rambling here. Let's try to find something. Let's just hop into something here. Hope for the best. We have a decent curve and some 2Ks. We'll keep it. So we'll play the pudding. We'll find nothing because we can't grab another pudding, and then we'll end the turn. So I like the idea of a searcher like pudding in the deck, but I don't like it when it hits nothing because the deck revolves around triggers more than it does finding Linlin cards. I think Katakuri has a lot more Linlin cards in his deck to search, so it's good to play the 3 cost Sparrow in it, all that fun stuff. Um, he can rest one of my characters this turn, so I don't really have a forward on play right here. I'll just swing into the body, let him rest this. He can swing into it next turn. We'll sail into our 6 Dawn turn. I like the pudding though because it gets the immediate effect when you play it right. The Sparrow can be bottom decked, and I don't care for that all too much. He finds a 2 cost Resonante off of his search with Baby 5. He swings 6 into my leader. Give him another 2K. 3 Dawn. He plays the Resonante. Not bad. We want all 6 Dawn to play this. Let's see if he blocks out of this first. He'll definitely rest that. That's not bad. We'll toss one of our 2Ks, and he'll toss a Eustace Kid off life. A fruitful turn. Now we have 3 bodies on the board to swing if we need them. We have the Nami in hand if we want to KO something. And then we run the Dereshi to kind of refill our options a bit here too. Let's see what we find though. I kind of want to swap to a Sparrow, but it's no counter in hand. It's kind of tough. Maybe we could do like a mix with 3 pair Sparrow and then like a 4th 0-cost event. Things to think about. Um, I won't do that just because I want another card in hand. So we'll go 7 into the leader. If he rests this, we'll use our Dawn on the pudding. Or did he not have any Dawn standing? Interesting. Okay, so he arrests the leader. We'll get everything off the board this turn. I don't think that's a bad call. And also we're at 3 cards in hand when we do the effects, so we get another card in hand off the Nami. So that's full value off the Nami. Granted, it's not like a 5-cost character or one of their supernovas, but you know, not the worst thing. So here we could either do a Dereshi search, which isn't a bad call. Could also give us options here. So we could reveal 2 cards with triggers, and then get them in our hand. And then we could play both of those cards that we just drew, essentially. So we want to have 5 Dawn for this. And we'll get rid of the Cavendish because that's just free value every turn. If we let it occur or recur, what have you. But I guess both do that, but since we're getting so many bodies on the board, I'm not worried about the carrot stunning something per se. Also, we have the second Nami card in hand. He saw us draw a Nami, so he knew that we had 1 in hand, but he doesn't know that we have 2. So we're going to protect our Nami. So far having 12 2Ks is still nice. 7K swing into that. He has 8 Dawn standing. So he's going to do something for 7 Dawn, maybe swing again. If you could play the rusher Hody Jones. I think we'll let it go. I want to keep these cards in hand. Kind of greedy though. There it is, a Cavendish. And a 1-cost blocker. Interesting. We could do the same thing with another Linlin. It's not a bad call. 6 Dawn to do that. And then we could use the other 4 Dawn for a swing on the pudding if we need to. Interesting, interesting. Let's start with a swing into carrot. He'll rest that. We'll give the opponent the option to trash a life or give us 2 cards out of hand. He'll just block it, which is no issue. It might have just been good to leave it standing, but this is giving me time to find a big body. And I'm applying pressure. Let's resolve the attack in case we get something off life. That's nice, like that. Cool. We run less Thunderbolts. We run less Luffy's, but we have these other cards that we're getting a lot of value out of in OP09 here. That's a card. Okay. So what? These are all rested. If I swing with one, the other one's going to get rested. So we'll swing with the bigger one. We'll go 5/5. So at 5 for the swing into life after KOing the blocker. Or do we KO? Go for the carrot. We might go for the carrot. I think we'll go for the carrot. So we'll get rid of the blocker. We'll swing into the carrot. Oh, he doesn't have a Dawn standing. I didn't catch that. That's a mistake I made. But it's not bad to have something standing, but shoot. I made a mistake. He played a 10 Dawn card. I should have been paying more attention. I'm just so used to Supernova cards always giving him free value. But hey, GG. We'll get some more feeling for this deck. Play against a blue-purple Kaido, which I never play against. So it's going to be some fun experience here either way. We'll just keep this hand. We could play the Dereshi there, but getting him down to 3 life is not bad if he wants to keep his blocker there. He plays a 1-cost Searcher, looking for an Animal Kingdom Pirates card. I'm always curious to see what people are cooking up, because maybe we're not seeing something out there because people aren't playing it. That's why I play this deck. He pulls a 1-cost Blast Breath. Three Dawn still standing. He puts 2 on his leader and one has one standing at the end of his turn. After the swing, we'll take the hit. 7 into our life. We draw a Linlin on our 5 Dawn turn. So we have a lot of cards in hand. We have a lot of options. He's at 3 life. He has access to blue. He goes to 6 Dawn next turn. I think Kikunojo is great value. We find a 10 Mom. We'll swing 5 into his leader. Start getting cards out of hand. Play the Kikunojo and the turn. He plays a 6/8 Boa. Sending our 1-cost putting to the bottom of the deck after essentially stunning our Kikunojo. 5 into 5. We'll give them a Brule from hand. 1k counter for the leader swing. That's their 6 Dawn turn. We draw a 0-cost event to start our 7. See, here's an interesting thing. So this is new to me. So this card's new. So Dereshi, if we play this, get a 4-cost card. We could play that. Or we could just play the Nekomamushi and swing for 8. We're not at 3 life, so I don't want to do that just yet. Let's just do it. Draw 2 cards with triggers. And then we'll show them the Kikunojo. So I like the Kikunojo, finding that in the deck. We can just play it right away. This is gonna be a 1000 power counter for the time being. Now wait, I kind of want to banish something now, but that's greedy. He could bottom deck this, but that's not the worst thing. Dereshi, very good card. It's especially nice when you can play the card that you show, because I don't like giving information away. But if it's going to be my next play anyway, or if it fits that role perfectly, it feels really seamless, right? And it's not giving away, like, of course I want to be searching for a 10 cost mom, but it's not giving away that I'm drawing like a mom and then have it for next turn, right? So now that said, I'm playing the 1 cost puddings to find the moms. So just speaking to the idea of it, let's just take this swing. It's our 6 cost mom. That's interesting. He swings 8 and then 5. After playing, what, the island and a blocker? Queen, 5-6 queen. So he's swinging 5. We'll just give him the Onami that we showed him. It's not, it's not a bad thing. We have 3 10 moms. So here I want to go for board for the rest of the game. uh, because then I can just play these every turn. Ideally, right? I also want to get my leader effect off here. So instead of playing this Charlotte Linlin, what if I played this Nikamamushi for 4, and then swing 7-7 into the leader after swinging 8 into this? Nah. Let's just start swinging into this guy. Now we can put the Nekamamushi on live. Yes, I think this is the most efficient way to use our turn here. Getting cards out of his hand. Give us 2-2Ks this turn. We'll play the Nekamamushi next turn? Okay, even better. It'd be nice if we had a Brule, right? But this ain't bad as well. Granted, we're not going to get value off of a 10 mom unless he plays a 9 mom, which he might have. This deck has access to top end, and that's one of them. But he's not swinging into the Kikinojos. He might KO it though, right here. See? He KOs a Kikinojo, gives us a life. He's at 5 Dawn, 4 rested, 10 into 6. We'll resolve the attack. We'll go to 5 life, 5-2. 1 Dawn standing. He might save it for the blast breath. We saw him draw earlier. Might use it to swing. I'll just counter out of this. I think we're going to 6 life here, guys. Unless we want to place pressure on his hand with this. If this was a 9 cost, maybe I would do that just to swing into this and get another card out of hand, but I think it's just time to start dropping big moms. So we'll swing 5 into 5, 5 into his leader. He'll give us a pudding. And thank God he didn't play that. Eight Dawn turn. Opponents, turn 6. He's got a 10,000 power Kaido, 2,000 power Who's Who. He plays a blocker. That is one thing that this deck is missing now. The Thunderbolts and the KO potential on blockers at the end of the game. Maybe we put in a couple of Amarus, but I think you need to be at low life for that. Oh, Dereshi. Just draw a card. Nah. Let's just keep the card in hand. We'll have it for the zero cost event. Where's all the attack? Just for kicks. Why does he have 5 Dawn standing? Aw, man. I feel bad for him. We'll play this next turn when we're going for game. Unless he plays another blocker, that'll be game. I think. He has Blast Breath too, though. Let's do this. And then, yeah, make sure the Kaido doesn't go to his hand before swinging for the game. Either you have a lot of counter, or you give me that little blocker. Good turn. Yeah, this deck, I don't know how this deck does against Blackbeard, or my opponent's deck, rather. See, what just happened is totally fine because we already played our Linlins. We got the value out of them. Anything after this point's great. We'll use the zero cost event with the Linlin to save the Charlotte Linlin. Because now that 6 cost Linlin has a lot less value. Because it's a late game, he has no life cards. He would just choose to trash nothing, right? We'll give him a Nekamamushi. I think we win here. 12-12, 15. GG. Alright, we got a good warm-up in with the blue-purple Kaido. Now we'll go against a black-purple Luffy. Something new here. Let's keep the hand. We've got a 1 Dawn turn play. So we have 2 Dawn to start the game, but you know what I mean. Ooh, did we find nothing? That's fine. That happens. It's still a card on the board. It's still a card on the board. I don't want to give him anything. I'm fine with taking that. Zoro. We're going to go in for an Anami play here. So we're going to put 2 Dawn on our leader. Get Banish to our leader. 7k into our opponent. With Banish, it's a Law. Not bad. 2 cards on the board. Slowly building our pressure. He swings with the Zoro getting a Dawn. We'll give him a Brûlée. 1000 power counter. He plays a Zoro. Opting to put 2 Dawn in his deck and then get a ton more. So now he has 4 standing Dawn. Opponent goes 7 into my life. I'll let it go through. It's a Nekamamushi. Since the opponent is at 3 life, it comes onto the board. And since that happened, instead of wanting to play Charlotte Linlin, maybe I want to go into his board a bit here. Right? I definitely want to use 2 Dawn on my leader to swing into the Zoro because I want to use the leader effect. We find a 10 cost Linlin on the life, and I think we want to put the... What are they at? 7 Dawn? They might play a 9 cost Linlin, but... I want to take a shot. Okay, so I don't want to bank on them playing something small that I can KO. I want to play it. I want to put a Nekamamushi on life so I can play it next turn, right? I can go 7 into this, make them give me 2 cards. I can use 2 Dawn on Onami to swing 5 into 5. Make the opponent give me an Onami. Ironic. This is the advantage of having small bodies on the board. I've been playing a lot of Sanji, and I really just appreciate the value of small bodies on the board. They've already given me a lot of value already just because of their ability. Man, 10 into 5, that's anger. You're just angry. You're going to be upset when this one comes off life. 8 Dawn turn. Opponent has 5 cards in hand. 3 on life. I think we go 5-5 and then play the Linlin. But I think we play the Linlin first. Yes. We make them unhappy. And then we use the lowest swing possible. They got rid of a 10 Luffy. Poor guy. Okay. 5 into 5. Just give me 1 cost. 1000 power card. 1000 power counter. I keep saying 1 cost. 1000 power counter cards. So he's down to 1 life now. So he might be pressured to play a Linlin here. We got rid of one of his Luffys. He's swinging 5 into 3 with his blocker Frankie, which isn't bad. He plays a 10 cost Luffy. He KOs the Frankie. He goes up to 2 rested Dawn, 1 active Dawn. He swings 6 into 5. We have counter for this. Opponent takes another turn. 1 rested Dawn, 5 active. Due to the Big Luffy's effect, he goes 5 into 5. We know it's a Nekomamushi, but we know this is just a 5k swing too, so next turn we're going to play the 10 Mom. We won't have space on our Dawn situation. To play any other cards. Man, he's going to play Black Maria? Can he just do it again? No, it's on play. It's not bad. But he's at 10 Dawn again, so that's bad. He could play another Luffy next turn. Wow. That's crazy. Five, 6, 7. Or 5, 5, 7 coming into life here. He is standing Dawn though, so he has the event card, of course. There it is. He draws 2 cards. He trashes a Moria. And I pass it back to him. I have 3 life remaining. He has 0. So effectively this 10 Mom is now useful if I want to use it for this, but man. Okay, I don't have any counter for that. That's fine. Yeah, I like to maximize value. Of course, it's a 12,000 power card I could play later, but if I need it for the 0 cost, it might be useful to use it as counter here. You see what I mean? That's fine. I was expecting to play another one of these. I think we just go for it, right? So what is it? 7, 10, 12. 8, 9, 12. So he might use an event here. He might use the blocker for the next swing, and then game after that. Let's see. He draws 2 cards. He tosses 1k in counter. So here goes the blocker, maybe? GG. These waters are wild. I can't figure out Blackbeard, and I think this one's going to go about the same. These matchups are tough. This hand is low to the ground. We'll keep it to start. Hope for the best. Find a big mom. Find nothing. But hey, you never know. That's why you do it. We can't attack anyway, so use it. 8,000 power swing into life. Ooh, I'm just tempted to play this. Sure. 3 swings coming next turn. Unless I play this and keep more board pressure. Maybe I'll do that. Cool party trick. That leader effect there you got. Man, this deck is well rounded. That leader effect is constantly applying pressure. It's tough that Blackbeard's one of the top decks of the meta, or else Linlin might be like immensely competitive. But what we're doing here ain't bad. All right. We'll give him a base for that. I might want to play the Nami card. I might want to play this Linlin too. I'm deciding. I'm leaving all my options open. Yeah. Yeah, I know what I want to do here. I want 4 swings to go into his leader right now. This is going to KO something. Might KO this. You just may. I'm curious of what he's going to do here. Sure. If he didn't do that, I might have played this Linlin. But since he did do that, I'm going to swing with all my bodies. Right? This is a fun way of playing One Piece. You can constantly change your strategy depending on what your opponent does, but you shouldn't revolve your strategy around what your opponent does, right? You want to do what's most valuable for yourself. And in this situation, I saw that he had a lot of cards in hand. My goal was to either get him down to 3 life or get some of these cards out of hand, because I don't like him having options. We will give you this. Again, we're keeping our options open. If we draw a card with a trigger, it might pair well with the Nami, but since he doesn't have a 5 cost on the board, I might use the Linlin's effect by trashing the Nami. I like the Kikunojo here. But since we're not at 3 life or less, I don't want to really throw all my Dawn on the field with a leader swing, a pudding swing, and a Kikinojo play. So I'll keep the Kikinojo for the next turn, or maybe after I play the Tenmom, which leaves me with 2 Dawn remaining if I play this Linlin. So I'm going to use 1 Dawn on pudding into the Uta in case he reduces it. I'm going to put 1 Dawn on Linlin in case he reduces it. He gives me an Otama. We'll play a 6-cost Linlin, trashing an Nami, and letting them decide whether to trash a card off life or give us 2 cards in hand. Off of life comes a 10-cost Shanks. We pass it back to them. It's their 9 Dawn turn. They play a 1-cost Uta to start their turn. They draw a Hongo. They play an Otama. They play a Beckman. They trash the Linlin. They swing into the rested 2,000 power pudding with their leader. We have to give it. They swing 7 into life. We resolve the attack, and it's a Brûlée. We hit our 10 Dawn turn. I think it's Linlin time. Five into their leader. It's going to get reduced. Good leader effect you got there. 10 Mom. We're up to 4 life. Opponent's down to 1 life. We trash a Yasop. And the world's our oyster. They play a Newgate, KOing the Brûlée via resting it. And then they swing 7 with their first Beckman. I don't have any counter power, so I'm going to take it. It's a Satori. I'm going to use the trigger effect. I'm going to play it. Trash the Nami from hand. Get the card on the board. So given his leader effect, we have a 9, a 10, and a 12k swing coming in next turn. They swing with their second Beckman. We resolve the attack. We had a Satori. I was going to play it too. GG. Linlin good against Shanks. Linlin strong against the best deck in the meta. I don't know. This has been a fun game though. Let's give it a shot against Garp. Weird hand. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. Draw 1 Dawn. Play a Charlotte pudding from hand. Find nothing. But I'm enjoying the 1-cost character, quote unquote meta. It's nice to have bodies on the board. He has 2 Sengoku. His hand gets bigger. His trash has 4 cards in it. A Kuzan and 2 2Ks. Good to know. We have another pudding in hand, so we're just going to play it. Find a Brûlée. Go for 7 into the opponent. He takes the life. Opponent has 8 cards in hand. It's a lot. He has options. Thank you, Brûlée. We'll trash you here. I like trashing Brûlée as counter against black decks because they can just cost reduce it so easily. If this was a 1-1, maybe I'd just play it out earlier, but it's a lot of cost straight out of hand. We're hoping this comes off of life most of the time. That's a Rebecca. Okay. That's a lot of small bodies on the board. We'll go 6 into the opponent, and then we'll play the Nekamamushi. Interesting. Why did he block out there? Yeah. Maybe he has a Moria. Doesn't concern him. But whatever he plays this turn, maybe I'll swing into it with Nekamamushi. So that's the pressure that we can apply on this middle turn, where he's waiting to play his Moria. He thought he was getting value off of blocking with it early, and maybe he got full value out of it that way. But I'm gonna apply a lot of pressure here. Maybe I'll just go into his life. Maybe. Oh, he attached it onto this. So he can use this every time he... Wow. Sure. Body on the board. Just replace the one we just got rid of there, buddy. Let's start with the little one. Dereshi. Pick 2 cards with triggers. We'll grab an Onami here, because I'll play it now too. And maybe he won't think I have another one, but what's the point in that? I don't know. I guess the point is I don't like giving away free information, even though he knows I have this Nami here. But let's see what he's trying to do here. He's trying to put everything in his trash and get everything in his hand. And deck out. And he's trying to cost reduce my things so that Brooke can KO them. He's at 2 life. If I can banish 1 life next turn, KO something by playing this, play the Charlotte Linlin the following turn, maybe I win. There's the 8 cost Moria. There's the Rebecca. And a Sengoku. Just constantly trashing things. So he's trying to play by constantly trashing things. Just like a Gecko Moria deck. You have to play it that way if you're going to be playing these cards that pull stuff out of here, like resources. So, interesting. Hina, huh? +4 cost on opponent's turn. And it has a cool effect, I'm sure. Wow. They're doing everything. Cool. So, we'll get rid of this. And then we'll swing into the 2 littles. Set up for our big mom turn a bit. Also, we'll draw a card. We could play the Dereshi now, but I just want to get these Brooks off the board, man. Or get lots of cards out of hand if he wants to to protect them. Your choice. It just sure seemed like a lot of setup for these Brooks, and I don't know if you're playing the Lucci, because I haven't seen it yet, right? But from what I'm seeing, it looks like a Navy deck. So maybe a Sakazuki's coming? 9 into 5, that's great. We got to get him down to 0 life eventually. We saw one Linlin in our Dereshi search. Ooh, fun. Mmm. Heck. Looks fun. Just keep flooding the board. It's stressing him out a little bit, I think. Give me cards out of hand. And then more triggers. So he's down to 1 life. We played a 10 mom after swinging with the Linlin and the Satori. So he has Borsalino in trash and a Suru in trash. So that's what, 1? That's like 3 2Ks in their trash. So he probably has like 2 in his hand, 2 or 3. No blocker though. Ooh, I want to play the Frankie, but I can't. It's not the right requirements met to play the Frankie. I can't beige this because he can just rest it. He's not going to attack with it. Dagnabbit. What's the 8 Dawn for? Another Moria? Yeah. A blocker and a blocker? What? Borsalino and who? Ooh, that's fun. So we could go defensive by playing this. KOing a brand new. Swing, maybe. Or we could just play the big mom. Get to 3 life. I think that's the play. Let's see if he protects the brand new. Put him down to 0 life to put a little panic into this next swing. You might have to give me the Borsalino, buddy. Seven, 9, 11, 13. 4 2Ks. And 1 was red. Broke. Interesting. Maybe I missed it earlier. 9K swing coming in. Is that the lowest sized 1? Possibly. Can you get this one down to 3? 1. Nekamamushi comes off of life. We have 2 life remaining. After taking, what, the 6K swing from Garp? Yeah. Opponent now has some things to consider. He has 2 blockers. Nice. Do we play the Dereshi here? Does it matter? Is there a card with trigger that has rush. Maybe I could put it in this deck to search with Dereshi later if I need a rush later, but hmm. Interesting predicament. Hmm. We could put out a blocker. We could put out that guy. Why not? But he knows everything that's in our hand now, which is tough. That's why I don't really like that card. But we'll play the blocker. Mm-hmm. Oh, I should have put this. Oh well, it's okay. Let's just go for game. Take the blockers out. Put a blocker out. See what happens. You can KO this right off the bat. You can go for the big whack. What are you going to do? We're giving him options. Pick your adventure. This is hot trash for me right now. So he rests the jack to kill the brulee. He could just win here, depending on what this one last life is here. It's kind of fun. He quote unquote knows that we have a Nekamamushi, but he doesn't know if it's in life or if it's in our hand, right? He saw it with the Dereshi. He's going for the big cost reduction play on the Linlin here. But does he have a blocker? Okay, he does. Hmm. I'm tempted to put Thunderbolts back in this deck. Interesting. Maybe I should have played the Kikinojo. But now we have the Nekamamushi. And let's see what happens here. It is exactly what we wanted. A zero cost event. That's not bad. GG. A fun game for kicks. Let's go against a Z player here. He's a 4 life leader, so let's keep this hand. I really like Z. I really want him to be viable. I think Black Maria really puts him in an interesting spot. So we could either swing 5 into their leader and play Nekamamushi. We could swing 7 into their leader next turn and give the leader swing Banish. We have options. We could play the Brule if we need to. I wouldn't advise playing the Kikinojo just because they're still at 4 life. So he plays a one-legged soldier, one of his 2 costs, and he swings with 6 into 5. We take the hit. Honestly, I wanted the counter out of that with Satori, but I misclicked. Happens. Let's see how it affects the game. Excellent. We use our Banish swing. He takes the hit, and the Suru goes to trash. So that's 2 2Ks down already. Great. But that means he has his other resources available, his bag of tricks. If he really wanted to, he could use his leader effect to get rid of Nami. But I don't know if that's worth the 4 Dawn. He starts off his turn, his 5 Dawn turn, by playing a Shiki. It's a blocker, gives him more value if he's at his 8 Dawn turn. He plays a Black Maria. So maybe he's gonna use yeah. He uses the leader effect, it seems. He buffs himself. And we counter out with a Satori. So yeah, the Black Maria. Lots of value there. That's his third 2k though. He could play Rebecca. Play very low to the ground. Draw some of these 2ks back. Wait till late game. Play the 10 cost Kuzan. The Kuzan plus the Black Maria really adds some feel to this deck. Even the 4 cost Kuzan. Very strong. You draw cards. So we're on our 6 Dawn turn. He's going to be KOing things the entire time. I kind of want to play the Linlin just since it fits the turn timing well. Let's make it awkward. Do we attack first? I think we attack first. He's definitely going to take the life, I think, if he blocks out here. If he takes the hit, maybe he gives us 2 cards in hand. Ooh. Play this out. We'll trash the Brûlée. Making our opponent choose whether to give us a life or to toss 2 of his 4 cards in hand. Tough decision. If one of those cards in his hand is a Linlin, a 9 cost Linlin, maybe he'll give me the life, because then he can always add it later. But it's an Ice Age. It's a good card to have in hand if you don't don't have too much cost reduction in the deck to pair with the leader. I don't know what his deck has. This is why I wanted to play against him, right? Yeah, it's good to test this deck against the meta leaders, but I'm curious to see what people are testing. That's why I make these videos in the first place, because I don't see people playing certain decks. So I want to show what this deck can do. And I'm curious to see what other people do while, I play against them. I love Linlin, man. I love this deck. Next turn I'm going to play 2 Kikanojos, I think. Or maybe a Kikanojo and a Neko. He's trying to figure out how he wants to use his 6 Dawn so that he can get value out of removing 4 Rested Dawn to KO the Linlin here. He trashes the Shiki. He trashes the Sanji. 4 2Ks down. I'm guessing he runs 11. 7K swing. We'll let that one go through. It's fine. The Black Maria returns 5 Rested Dawn. And then we hit our 8 Dawn turn, drawing a 10 cost Linlin to start the turn. So that's pretty good. That's going to be our play next turn. So I'm tempted to just play these. Yeah, I just want to play 2 Kikanojos. Have some fun. Even if he plays a 9 cost Linlin somehow, he's still at 3 Dawn. Or sorry, 2 life. But if he plays the card, it's 3 life, right? So the Kikunojo's effect goes off either way. I got distracted by someone walking by on the street. So the opponent has 8 Dawn. And they play an 8-cost Moria to start their turn. So they're likely going to KO something this turn, I think. Considering that they started with the rested Dawn. Right, they want to rest their Dawn to get the most value out of their Dawn possible. So that when they use the leader effect, they'll gain the power and they'll have the extra bodies on the board at the end of the turn. It's a nice little synergy his deck has. So he trashes the Sakazuki after drawing a card due to the Shiki. Then he uses the one-legged soldier to reduce the cost of the Kikunojo. And then he swings 5. 6. We'll block out with beige. So we start the turn. I mean, let's see if he attacks here first. Let's not cut him off, but he could swing with Sabo, but yeah. Next turn's our 10 Dawn turn. I'm excited to play Linlin. But we want to swing into the Shiki first. So I think we start with the leader, swing into Shiki. Interesting. It's a Brûlé. We take the hit from the Sabo swing. It's a Brûlé off life, so now we're at 3 life. And I am very tempted to use this Brûlé to swing into his Shiki. I am very tempted. I think he misplayed, and I wanna capitalize a little bit here. Next we'll swing 6 into their Sabo. He'll likely give me a card out of hand to protect it. So the options we have for this turn are we could play the Nekomamushi, and then we could play a Pudding, right? We could search for another Linlin, and then control the board more with this last swing. Or we could just play the 10 Mom, right? But if we have the 10 Dawn, and we're not on the back foot, right? If we were at like 1 life, I wouldn't play the Linlin, right? But since we're at 3 life, that's not an issue. It's not an issue to play it at all. Let's see what he decides to do. He gives us a 2k from hand. 10 Mom. I think he saw it coming. It's a great card. This is why I like checking out people's decks. They run these cards that fit well with these decks, and you never test them. He's trying to ramp really quickly. The Black Maria is not the card for that. It's a good card to catch you up because of the leader effect, but you wanna develop. So you want cards like the Zoro, the Ein, cards that give you additional Dawn, just so you can keep the tempo going forward rather than continuing just to catch up. It's a tough deck to play. That's why I'm too intimidated to play it. I would run something similar to what he has here, except I would play the 10 cost Kuzan, because then you would have a big body on the board. Aha! Fascinating. Yep, perfect. Now he can use this, but he can only hit my Kiku no Jo or my Brule. So that puts me up. We're back up to 5 life. He swings Black Maria into Brule. We give it to him. He's got a leader swing. He's got a Sabo. He's got a Gecko Moria. Next turn, if he has cost reduction, Linlin might go. He just swings 5 into my leader. He's returning the Dawn to his deck to gain the plus 1000 because he has the Black Maria on the field. We'll let it go through. This is when I want the triggers to come online. This is when I want the bodies to come off of the life and just flood the board. Ooh. Huh. Interesting. So in this position, we have Charlotte Linlin. So this card will either make the opponent pitch a card off of their life, their last one, or give us their last 2 cards in hand. And I think that's fascinating. Let's try it out. We'll trash an Onami for it. This is an amazing card for this situation because it's draining the opponent once they're on their last resources here. Man. Now we go 9. And I don't think they can counter out of that. So they might just block. The best they can have is 2 2Ks. They've been using a lot of them already. Man, this is a dagger. I might put another one in the deck. GG. Alright, this is a terrible matchup. We lose most of the time. Good luck, us. I don't like that hand. So I'm searching for those 2 6-cost moms that we have. That's gonna be my way through this. No! Brutal. It's a whiff. Pass it back. Next turn he's gonna rest his Lafayette and rest a Dawn. We're gonna swing into it with our pudding. He's gonna have 2 Dawn for his leader. Or for the Doc Q. Oh, he KOs the pudding. And then he rests the Lafayette. This guy's good. This guy knows what he's doing. He draws a black hole. That card hurts. Give him the Frankie. I don't wanna. It's not like I'm having a good time here. Gotta take out the Lafayette immediately. We'll play the Nekamamushi and hope that it lives this turn. But he drew the black hole. And I think that KO's a 4 or less. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We'll take the 6K swing. It's another Nekamamushi. Here he comes. Don't black hole me now. Rude. Opponent can't activate on-play abilities. Rude. I'll swing 7. He'll take it. I'll play another Nekomamushi and hope that he doesn't feel confident enough to just do that all the time. He plays a Laboon. He KOs my card with the Laboon and the Dot Cube. Man, this deck, wild. Black decks, man. This is what they do. Oh, I need you, Kikunojo. Where are you now, Kikunojo? Alright, we're at 6 Dawn, going to 8 Dawn. He's blackholing us now. Please don't. Unplayabilities don't work. What does that mean for us here? We have to KO this, right? Unless we have to KO the Laboon. Yeah, let's KO the Laboon. Let's just be... let's go 4 into the Laboon. Yeah. That way if we find something on life. We could put something else there if we want to, but that was pretty great. Play Dereshi. Draw 2 things with trigger, and it's just gonna be some counter power, baby. 2/2Ks. We showed him a Satori and a Frankie. Those will be the first 2 that we give him. We'll trash a Onami here, since he's only swinging 5 for the first swing of his turn. He has 9 Dawn remaining. He plays a Katarina Devon, giving it blocker. And then he puts Black Hole on us for our 10 Dawn turn. So that's not a problem. We could play a couple bodies right now. We know this is going to get KO'd. And if he blocks with this, this is going to get KO'd. So let's just swing 6. And then play this and this. Put a couple bodies on board. Give him something to do. And since he's at 3 life, we're happy. Man, I hope he doesn't give a banish. This Katarina Devon looks like a lot of fun. Looks kind of cracked in this deck. One card that does it all. Blocker. 6,000 power blocker. With counter power. Like, high. Speaking of high. So our leader's effects are negated. And then Kikunojo's effects are negated and cannot attack. Katarina Devon has banish. Swing 6 into 5. No way, Jose. And then he black holes our leader. Not bad. It's to happen. So we still can't play our 10 Mon, but that's fine. We could play another 5 and a 4. Not a bad call. Can you not swing? Only the character can't swing. Okay, so we'll do 5 and then 6 and then play the 5 and the 4 cost. He's gonna block with the blocker. That's fine. Yep. Just fill the board. We have the smaller bodies in the deck for a reason. If you don't want us to have value off the big bodies, we have smaller bodies to play the game too. He was -4 on the Nekamamushi with the Laboon that he plays, and then KOs it with the Dock Q. He has 6 Dawn remaining. We're getting deep in the game, buddy. What do you want to do? I'm kind of feeling him as he goes because he's getting these free cards off of his life stack at a good pace. I don't really know how to control that yet. We'll give him the Nami card because that's what we want. We don't want this to hurt us, but if he goes big with it, man, it's going to be tough. 8? 8 with Banish? Not for me, coach. Okay. So you're going to swing with the big teach? Are you going to black hole us? What's the play? Black hold because of the dot Q. Okay. We get a brulee. Okay, so what we could do is try to bait out teach here. I'm gonna use Tudon on our leader to swing into Laboon. Now we're gonna go 14 into Devon here. He could block with teach and give us the 2 cards out of his hand. It's fine. It's fine. But this at least eliminates this issue of banish or blocker. This dot Q card is good. I don't like that it gives him draw, but you know, that's kind of the point. Sure, that's my turn. That's my Dawn. He plays a Lafayette, does a searcher, search with it, finds another 10 cost teach, plays another Lafayette. Oh my gosh. Draws a black hole, KOs the Kikinojo after nullifying it. Okay. Yep, that's what he was looking for. 12 into 5. We find an Onami. We'll give him the draw, but it gets rid of the dot Q. It's not a problem. He might have another one anyway. We need to try to swing into one of these right now. He might go 7 into us though. Yeah. Perfect. It gives him something small to chew on. Hopefully a distraction from the fact that I'm at 1 life because I can't really do too much. What are you going to black hole us with? You can just do that every turn. Ooh, fun. We'll play 2 of those. Let's see here. 6 Dawn for these 2. Leaves us 4. We'll swing 5 into 1 and then with the other Brûlée too. Get that out of here. Alright, Brûlée City. Let's do it. I will survive. Hey, hey. Get that out of here. Yeah, that's right. No! Brutal. He's just gonna chew us out the entire game. Try to get rid of one of these. There we go. Onward. He's always searching for more cards in hand. Why can I never get through? I want to play a Linlin. This is the most frustrating part about playing this deck into him. This is meant to slow this deck down for sure. Oh yeah. You got it. And there it is. Black hole for every turn of the game, practically. GG. That's what your deck is meant to do. Alright, let's take a peek at what we saw today. So here's what I was running. And I think there's some tweaks that can be made going forward now that we've tested it a little bit, now that we've got some experience with how it handles against some of the opponents that we're going to run into. Let's start off the leader. So as you know, it's very strong, 5 life leader, 5,000 power, great ability. The ability to take something off of life, the top or the bottom, and then put something back on top at later points in the game is the lifeblood of the deck, right? So you want to always be thinking about how you can get the most value out of your leader, right? Some leaders, it's very obvious how they work, right? Some leaders are want you to be under certain conditions to draw cards. Some leaders need to swing, and then it's obvious that they want to reduce cost, so you have to work with that. With Yellow Linlin, we're trying to make as much value out of her leader ability as possible. So that's the focus of this deck here. We're trying to get cards on life, and we're trying to get value out of the cards that we can swap onto life too, knowing the state that we're in, right? Because as we're going through the game, we can get an understanding of how we feel about the situations that we're running into. We can get a feeling about how we feel the game is playing out in the mid game, depending on how we mulliganed, how we played. Because you can always make mistakes, and you can always try to figure out how you want to play at every step of the game, right? And if you make a mistake, you can always try to recover. And this leader effect allows you to recover in a sense with certain cards. Brûlée, Beige, Onami. These cards can, when placed on life, Soul Pocus, can really flip the momentum of a game. Can put your opponent on the back foot, can catch them off guard. can even things out a bit. So here's some of the cards that I ran in the video, and I want to mix up the ratios, but let's talk about what we did. So uh, let's start off with the 10 mom. We have the 10 mom, the center point of the power of the deck. Being able to add a card to life is insane because we're running about 39 triggers. We can tear opponents' life cards straight into trash, and they don't get it in their hand, and they also it's a big momentum shift for them because if we have bodies on the board, uh, it, it essentially reduces a swing that they can avoid. So playing around this as well as the 10 cost ace is is major to the deck because they're your power points, right? So you want to get to these power points throughout the early to mid game pretty safely, and so that's why we play a lot of these smaller bodies. We don't play the 7 cost, the 8 cost, because these smaller bodies they go together like puzzle pieces in my mind. I like how the 6 cost mom can be played on a turn where you also can play the Onami and add 2 Dawn to your leader for a swing, right? Because there's times where you want to play a big body and there's times where you want to do something with all the tools that you have available. And looking at all these tools, they're either triggers or they're smaller bodies, right? So if you can have 2 Dawn for your leader and then have, 5 Dawn for Nami, 3 Dawn for Brule. You can have 4/4 and then 2 Dawn for a leader swing in the sense that you're playing like a Kikunojo and a Nekamamushi. Or um, in the previous version of this deck, I played a Luffy card. Egghead Luffy. It's very good because it's strong against Doflamingo. Uh, if you're playing against a lot of Doflamingos, I'd consider running more Egghead Luffys, more Thunderbolts. Uh, yeah, there's some balancing that can be done with this deck, but we can get into that into the next video. This was a first good taste of how this deck runs in '09 though, and some of the opponents that we're going to face. Uh, the next power card that we ran was the Linlin, and I'm considering running more of these, but if it's searchable with the puddings or with something in the deck, I might keep it at 2 as well. I'm still trying to get a feel for how I like the balance of these 6 cards, the Linlins and the small puddings, because sometimes this whiffs, right? So I'd rather have something, uh, I'll share my tech, something like this S Shark, where it can swing into an opponent and it negates any blocker that they were planning to use. So you play this out, you play 2 of these out, and then you play a 10 mom, and then these can attack for 15 through the 2 teaches that they played. I think this might be my trick. I'm gonna play around with this, considering that Blackbeard is an issue, and that considering that these puddings whiffed a lot. Yeah, I think that's what's coming in the next video. Dereshi, the other new card that we're running in the deck, strong, strong. It's a 3 cost card. We don't get a body for it on the board, but we can find any pieces that we want for the mid to late game. I guess not too late, but we can find something that'll get us from the early to late game, you could say, considering that we want to probably play our big bodies later on. This helps us find a 2K, a 2/2Ks. It helps us find a blocker if we need it. It helps us find a 4 cost body that can be a tool that we need to get through another blocker on an opponent's board. This card is really useful, and the only thing I don't like about it is that it gives the opponent information, but the value is not bad. The value is not bad. Also, considering that you can grab like a beige and the opponent will know that you have a 2K, but you could also put it on life. There's lots of things you can do with this deck after you play this. Very very good card. It also gives you more fuel for the Nami card if you get a couple of trigger cards and then you play this out. It's very strong. This can help you find everything you might need. Kikunojo, aside from Beige and Linlin, I think Kikunojo is the strongest card in the deck. So I guess top three. Um, this card is a 4/6. I think every color is getting a 4/6 without counter that does something pretty useful for the color. This one in specific is a trigger card that can come off of life that gives you a free life later. If that happens, I think you've hit the value jackpot for this deck, in one sense of the word. There's other times where you can hit that value like Beige on the last life, zero cost on the last life, right? But that value alone is underrated. I think is immensely underrated. It's one of the reasons why I play so aggressively, try to get the opponent down to 3 life, because I really enjoy the value that you get when you can get this off of life. And same with this other Land of Wano card. The Nekomamushi is really good. If there was more black decks that I was worried about, I would play, I think it's a Denjiro card. I like this Denjiro card because you can play it with the same conditions as Nekomamushi and Kikunojo. And it can also be protected from KO effects, but 2 Dawn is a big investment for this card when you can use it on a Nekomamushi. But yeah, I'm really excited about trying out this S-Shark. I'll show you the content if I make some more stuff with this. 2K counters in the deck. Let's just go over that real quick since I'm just hopping around. Satori. This card is insane because it's a trigger in the deck, so searchable. It is a 5,000 power body, so you don't have to add extra Dawn to it to swing. It's reliable in that sense. And it's a 5 cost card, so it's expensive to play out of hand. But if it can come off of life and you can toss something easy for it, heck, I like having this on the board. A black deck has to use more resources to get rid of it. A blue deck has to play a 6 uh, Dawn or more turn by using at least 6 Dawn to get rid of this with a card, right? So 5 cost is nothing to scoff at. And then you have the Frankie. You have the 2 cost, or sorry, 4 cost 5,000 power 2K counter Frankie. Conditional, but you know, there's times where you can play this out and have a draw. But I think with this deck in specific, it's nothing you want to rely on. And for that sake, I'm tempted to go with um, like the new Brule 2000 power counter card. Not for the trigger, but for the searchability with the pudding. There's lots to play with, but the trigger, it's nice when it works out, but I've been punished by putting it out and then the opponent goes into me hard when I least expect it, and I wish it was a 2K in hand. So don't get baited by it. Just like this Nami card, don't get baited by it. Beige is the last 2K counter in the deck. We run 4 of each. This one can negate an opponent's attack, and sometimes that is the attack the opponent is relying on to win the game. And if you prevent that attack from coming in, or multiple attacks coming in from a Zoro, for example, a 9 cost Zoro, yeah, this card can win you the game. So 4 of these is highly recommended anytime you play yellow deck, let alone this deck. Uh, 0 cost event is the tag along to the 2 cost counters. Not 2 cost, 2,000 power counters. This card, it can be debated that it should be run as a 4 of, solely because of the trigger. But if you have 3 of these in your starting hand, you're going to have a bad time. So 3 of these in the deck have always felt good. And I haven't really tested anything other than that in a while. But now that we're in 09 in a little while here, it's something to consider changing up. I think 8.5 might be the meta where you want to mix it up the most. Or not because Doflamingo. So we'll see. And then on top of that, we have this other more recent card that came out, Nami card. It's a great card to play out from hand, especially if you can get the draw effect. I think if you can get the draw on it, it gets incredible value. As a KO card that is a body on the board, it's also admirable, especially since when compared to Gadatsu, it is less reliant on your opponent's life, right? Because as we're going through the early to a mid game, this deck swings hard, heavy, fast, and the opponent's life goes down quick. So if we have a good Dotsu in the deck, we don't get as much value out of its KO capabilities when compared to a Nami. 1000 power counter, excellent. We also have the Brûlé in the deck. A lot of times this is a counter card. A lot of times this comes off of life when I don't expect it, and I'm very happy about it. So 4 of these in the deck have felt great, and they feel better than the Sanji because Sanji you have to pitch a card for when it comes off of life, and it's going to do the same thing as a Brûlé. It'll block. It's easier for a black deck to get rid of, but you know, when I rely on it as a 1000 power counter in hand and a blocker on life, I invest less emotion towards it being in the deck. Otherwise, does that make sense? Yeah. Um, it's a nice tool. It's great. It's great when you see it. The deck feels good. This Charlotte pudding, I'm really tempted to take it out because I've whiffed so much on it. This Charlotte pudding and this Charlotte Linlin, um, they feel like my test slots, and I want to keep testing with them. But this Charlotte Linlin is very good at what it does. If it can be played in the mid game, it fits that 6 Dawn turn perfectly. But when you're at the late game, I gotta tell you my gripe. When you hit late game with cards like this 6 cost Linlin and the 7 cost Linlin, it feels bad when the opponent has 0 life and are able to take the path of not of you know trashing a life because they essentially trash nothing, and we just play a 7/7 on the board for essentially no additional effect. So the value that you get out of playing, like, for example, if you're playing a black deck, if the value you get out of a jack is always going to be consistent throughout the entire game, right? The value that you get out of um, a 9 cost Zora or an 8 cost green kid is going to be the same throughout the entire game. It's going to create that wall, it's going to create that pressure. But yellow has to have different considerations because there's different points of the game where they want to do different things. And you have to figure out how you want to pilot your deck most as efficiently as possible. So with this deck, you want to apply pressure with the Onami if you have it early. You want to play the Nami, play the Nekomamushi mid game, and then by the time you hit the 10 on turn, you want to start playing these big bodies. Uh, and and I think the Portgas Ace at 2 or 3 was perfect. I think the 6 Lin in certain situations is perfect, um, but I don't mind getting a life too. So the 7 Lin, heck, it might come back too. Who knows? More to come. But those are my thoughts on the deck. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it gives you some good insights on how I play the deck, how the deck can be played with triggers, and maybe hopefully gives you some inspiration on how you can play the deck in your own way. Um, there's lots of ways to create more value with more searchers, and I advise you to try that. I advise you to try the Nico Robin and play some more 3 cost or less triggers in the deck. I I think there's lots of ways to play this deck, and I think right now is one of the best times to try it out. So if you want to get into it, give it a shot. And if you have any questions, drop a comment, ask me a question. I'll be around. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.